Welcome to the Respectfully Great podcast. I'm your host, Johnny Reed, and today we have a wonderful episode scheduled. Today we're actually going on our 60th episode. Let's give a round of applause for that. Yes, 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 yes. You know, we got to get a big shout out to our moderator. Say what's up, Lizzie.
What's up, everybody? Happy Thursday, happy Thursday, happy Thursday. I hope everybody is good. They feel blessed. I hope
Mm-hmm.
everybody has had a wonderful day today.
Absolutely. That is dope. I mean, we're pumped. There's so many things that we can expound about. Primarily, we've been having some technical difficulties, but you know the beauty of going through some of these trial and tribulations. There's some things that you always discover in the midst of the turmoil. We just discovered together, right or wrong, Lizzie.
That's
Actually,
correct.
I can't take full credit. I gotta be fully transparent. Lizzie had discovered a way for us to actually still continue to move forward and to actually film the podcast the way we intended to do so. And in the midst of that, not holding up too much time, but we'd be better suited for the next week. Actually, we implemented some things just because of the happenstances, the things that just occurred and the misfortunes. But we had discovered a more efficient way to stop the progression of what we do on the lives. So I'll break that down to you. You know what? While we're here, let's give a shout out to everybody that's in the building. My brother Akil is in the building. My brother Black is in the building. Lizzie is in the building. We got so many people that's in the live chat. Shout out to everybody on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all of those dope platforms. Ideally, we're still going live on YouTube and StreamYard. Instagram, we doing live as well here too, but we're not connected to the streaming platform. All good, no problem. In the near future, we're going to do it this way so we don't slow up the progression of the podcast. Something you want to say, Lizzie?
Trini for Life says, much love, bro.
That's my brother, man. Absolutely. You know, Kill. What's up, loved one? You know, we in the building today, man. Yo, we are very, very happy. And although there are things that, you know, always transpire, but it gives you the moment of clarity of when you go through things, you just find the strength to figure things out and you be better suited for the next going forward future endeavors that you may have in the near future. So ideally, let me just give the rundown before we get too much all the way down the rabbit hole, because this is what we do. What we're going to do is we're still going to film lives every Thursday, right? But we're going to have a new day for a new drop. The new drop is going to be on Tuesdays. You hear that? Tuesdays. So we're not going to miss out on the lives. Lives are still going to go down. Still going to go down on Thursdays, primarily on Instagram by itself. So we still come on here. We'll be able to have our regular jargon. Ideally, we may be talking about current events. It's going to be a more open forum on Thursdays. On Tuesdays, that's actually going to be the actual podcast day. So we want to still reinforce the continuum of actually doing the lives every Thursday. So we're still going to go live because I think that is something that would enhance us as a platform to be able to branch out, still connect with our audience in real time. That's a primary thing. Also, being able to have the drops a little bit earlier during the week. This is something that I'll be able to hold on as a collective to where we be able to provide more value during the week. I know the weekends come, people, family, friends, everybody got their thing that they're doing. They're going out, partying, etc. So I think ideally we'd be able to get the content out a little bit earlier during the course of the week. I think it best suits us for the week and for the future endeavors on how we wanted to be able to structure the content, because there's so many other things and other elements that we want to implement. So that it gives us the room to do such. So that's what's going to happen in the near future. Thank you guys for continuously showing up and supporting in every way that you can, and in every way that you can. And we thank you. We really, really thank you. You know, we give a round of applause to you. It's only right. It is only right, right? Okay. Say it again, Lizzie. Talk to me.
Affordable car rental says family.
Absolutely. That's my cousin Black in the building, man. That guy right there, man, hustling, bustle, grind, never stops. Shout out to my cousin Black. Man, he's doing his 1-2, big stepper. And we're going to continuously promote our other brands that's around us, that's connected to our brother, our sister brands, our area likes, our brothers, our sisters, our friends, our business partners, people that we love to see their content and support them. There's many people out there that are doing great things, and we always want to highlight them as well, because they are part of our platform as well. So we always want to push the narrative out there that us together holding hands, being able to stride in a forward progression manner, it's always going to induce us to be better suited for the near future in order to add value. Because I think that everybody offers a skill set and uniqueness to who they are and what their brand represent that will allow everybody to learn from each other and be able to add more value to each other platforms. So I think everybody that's continuously showing up and those other brands out there, whether you are in credit repair, whether you're in car rental services, whether you're in money management, whether you're in health and healing, whether you're in some level of psychology, whatever it is that you do, you're selling candles, you're selling merchandise, you're selling clothing. Let us know what you do in here, even if you just don't, if you don't have a business, you have a business of you. So these are the things that we still want to highlight, because ideally, even if you don't have an LLC, or you haven't structured your business in that manner, understand that you are a business. Even when we sign those documents on our birth certificates, etc., social security cards, all of those things are in capital letters for a very important reason. Straw man, right? Not to get into sovereign citizenship and all these things, but you are doing business whether you know it or not. And these are the things that we want to be fully abreast on, because if we treat ourselves like our business, we'll be able to manage ourselves in a better manner to go out there and be able to operate in the world to where everybody around you is doing business. And if you just a consumer, we talked about this in one of our episodes, to be a prosumer, we be a prosumer, being a producer and a consumer. These things are needed within our communities, because if we don't be able to put things into creation, right? The people that's coming behind us or share our ideas and sentiments, they don't have nothing to attach themselves to in order to incite more growth and more development from the ideas that we all share. So I think it's very, very important to play both sides of the field when it comes to being a producer and a consumer. We consume a lot every day, right? We go to the grocery stores, we buy our fruits, our vegetables, our food, our meats, etc. But then also, what is part of the business that you put out there in order to other people can attach on to or latch on to, so they can get something out of your presence, right? It may be a conversation that you may be able to hold. It may be your intellect or your skill set when it comes to math or academia. It could be your outlandish thoughts or bigger thoughts that may just propel people to think outside of the box. It may be your unique approach to how you have your business acumen. You may have a unconventional way to do your thing. Some people may say, you know what, I could go by the microwavable way, the cookie cutter way to do my thing. But if you say, you know, I got a totally different approach, everybody's going up, I'm gonna go down. Everybody's going to the left, I'm gonna go right. Just like Most Def said, he said what he does, he learned this from one of his teachers, and one of the artists that he came across. He said that he goes to the end of the world, the end of the map, end of the world, and he makes that the center. I think that is one of the most powerful things, being able to go to a place and being able to build from that point. And that reminds me of who we are, where we are in our lives, and how we can start at any particular place and build from that point. Most people say, I don't have the leverage. I didn't come from this type of background. I wasn't brought up in this type of financial situation, or I grew up with this type of personnel, or I dealt with some internal things where I'm behind the eight ball. You start where you are. And this is a constant reminder of, no matter where you are along your journey, you can start exactly where you are and you can build from that point, because every day it's a learning and growing process. Here it is, just giving us as an example, because I love to do these things in real time. Shout out to my brother Rock. My brother Rock is in the building, man. What's up, loved one? How you doing? It's my brother in the building, man. You're doing wonderful, progressive things. I see your children growing up, graduating, doing powerful things. You are doing wonderful things, my brother. Continuously do your thing with the Snug program and keep elevating, my brother. I see you stacking up them diplomas and resumes, and building who you are and what you represent, and making a stronger foundation for, the future leaders, such as our children's and the people that look up to you and your organization through your programming. So I think these are the power tools, these are the powerful resources that we all can utilize and be able to strengthen when we start putting the information out there. Because if nobody knows what's going on in our communities, how do we get the information to the people? So I think every opportunity that we can spread light on some of the things that we support and love, we need to do such, because that's the work that we have to do. Right? We have to spread along the word. I was listening to something the other day, and they were talking about how, like, not to harp on slavery, right? People have always been conquered. There was always been people just doing out history to where people just came to other different people's lands, took over, conquered, colonized. We've seen this throughout history. But I want to pass something along about how smart, how intellectual, how inquisitive some of our peoples were that came before us. So during the times of slavery, we thought that the formal way of passing down some of the traditions was always through um, uh, 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 just somebody just being able to teach you a particular thing or speaking, whatever, right? So somebody say, okay, I'm going to learn something new. Lizzie, want to say something? Talk to me, Lizzie.
I am Jerry Cash. Just appreciate you, my brother.
Absolutely. That's my brother right there, man. Me and my brother go back way back, and we just build continuously. We always love and support one another. And I thank you, my brother. Absolutely. That's my brother Rock right there. Absolutely. So when we talking about traditions, right? Everybody has culture. They come from particular culture, customs, rituals, etc. Right? In life, there are certain things that we are taught that's innate in us. There are things where, okay, don't touch the stove. The stove is hot until we touch the stove and we feel the burn and we didn't understand the words. This is how smart our people were, right? During slavery times, right? In order to pass down traditions, in order to know um, how our people say, you know what, let's escape to the free land, right? Wherever our people were enslaved at, right? They will actually do different things to inform the people that were enslaved um, how to get from up under that bondage, right? Prime example, when they used to sing the hymns, right? Uh, prime example, just using this as an example, working on a chain gang, etc. Right? During those old Negro spiritual hymns, they would sing songs, and actually within the songs, they were detailing where to go. They were saying, okay, at this such and such time, there were hidden encoded things within the song and the hymns that was letting the people know, the enslaved people, on where to go to and from at times, etc. So they were speaking a different type of language, right? That the slave masters didn't understand or didn't know. So it was a language that the enslaved people were speaking unbeknownst to the slave masters. They didn't know what these people were talking about, right? And this was still aiding them to get to freedom, get to and from, say, hey, right now we in bondage, we enslaved, but through these Negro spiritual, these words, these hymns, there were hidden messages within them. Powerful. Another way, they said that during those times, they would knit and they would quilt um, uh, uh, the actual maps to where freedom is. Where are the spots to where the people go, the safe houses, etc. They would knit within the weavings on their garments, on the blankets, etc. They will weave out where the landmarks were in order to release um, their loved ones and the airlights from slavery and actually lead them towards freedom. So when I'm reading these things and listening to these things, it makes me think about the languages that we speak, how we talk, what do we talk about, how do we transfer information to and from, how do we get the message, how do we be resourceful, how do we pass down generational things to our loved ones, our families, and people that unbeknownst to us still need those messages. How do we do these things? Because over time there's always been a system in place in order to get the information to the people. So now this day and age we have platforms like such, we have the media, we have oral traditions, like we say, the Negro spiritual hymns. Also we have artifacts, we have things where you can knit blankets, where they was letting people know where the safe houses were, etc. In this day and age, like I said, we have social media, we have oral traditions, we have textbook work. They said that if you want to hide something from a person, you put in inside of a book. So we know that the books are very, very important. All of these things are very, very important. Although we could not utilize them and say, you know what, that's obsolete, that's old, that's stone age. We don't need none of this information. But truth be told, all of the information of how we come to gain more knowledge and actually be able to use the knowledge is very, very important. The sources that we get the information from is very, very important. The thing is that our psychology is based around where we get our information from. So all the time we talk about perspective, we talk about ideas, we talk about the way you think. It's programming. Whoever planted that seed within your mind, it builds a psychology around it. So a lot of times when people are told things, people hold these things to be true. And although it may feel truth to you, but in the world, in the grand scheme of things, your truth may not be the truth. It may be your experience, but that may not be the whole experience of the world or what is righteous and what is wrong. Who knows that, right? These things are always due to further research and actually have the great dialogue around them and actually have these conversations around some of our own ideals and ideas around how we think and what we deem as being right or being on the right path. Some people say, okay, my path to success is uh you know connive and scheme and take advantage of other people. Maybe that was a way in the code of conduct of how people in your circle or in your environment or from what you witnessed or how that tradition was passed down to you in order to gain some level of leverage in your life. You may have to connive and scheme, and although it may give you some leverage, but although that gave you the leverage in the grand scheme of things, that's a losing game because we know that you don't get ahead in this life by stabbing everybody else in the back, because you got to build alliances, you got to build trust, you got to build people have to learn to trust you. You have to be credible. If you are dealing with people, places, and things that are non-credible, then when it comes to actually offering services to people that you actually want to help, you wouldn't go to that doctor if that doctor is known to take advantage of people, right? We've seen these doctors this day and age using doctors as an example, to where she's using women as a prime example. I was watching something the other day where one doctor um, gave over so many like hysterectomies, taking out the woman organs and female reproductive systems. They taking things out of the woman, and these women nowadays not able to bear children, and all from this from someone else's conniving perspective, right? The doctor was looking and seeking to take advantage of the people, and during some situations, right, hysterectomy may be a recommended thing. To each his own. As a disclaimer, anybody that has one, experienced it, or need it in the near future, by all means, I'm not a physician and I'm not giving doctor advice, right? I'm just giving an example of what I've seen and how some of these scenarios play out. Although we go to the doctor because we think that they are trusted personnel, but even them, once they, yeah, talk to me, Lizzie.
That is so true because I, I'm one of them.
Okay.
Doctor told me, "Oh, get a hysterectomy and get it over with, and you'll be pain free."
Mm,
And it's like, no, because they look for the easy route out. And
correct.
when they do that, what you don't even know is they're taking out all your organs, everything that has to do with the hysterectomy. They're taking it and they donate it to science to do scientists like to do experiments on it to
Correct.
see how did you get it, where did it come from, or anything like that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So it's very important for the research. These are the things that we were talking about. So you got to make sure that the people and the personnel that you're going to are credible. Because if they're not, they may mislead you and the people that follow your expertise and have your trust. You may bring your loved one to a specific doctor, but if you haven't done our research on this personnel, they may have a long history of malpractice. And we don't know that until we do our work. So we build an ecosystem with trusted advisors, people that are specialists in their fields, and they're subject to critique. There are people that get tested in our own environments. I want to be put to the test. So the thing is, I don't want to just be credible because I have a voice. Although I have a voice, I'm going to utilize it. Okay, let's do some fact checking. Let's do some fact checking about let's cross reference. Let's okay. Well, where did you get your sources from? Right. This is why it's very, very important to not have plagiarism, because this is a thing when people are sourcing information. If you take other people's work and you don't source it, plagiarism. But the beauty of actually citing where you get information from, we can go and further research and say, well, is that person credible? So now we once find out, okay, if this person is credible, then now we can build upon that and say, you know what, let's go a little bit further. So now where we starting at is never a wrong point. The whole premise of us saying that starting where you are is very, very important. We learned something today in the midst of being, through turmoil, through troubling times, through tech issues. We've been experiencing tech issues, not today, from I would say almost a month. Every week there was something different. And we should start we learning and growing. Apply, fail, still being actionary. Took a couple steps back, but we gained something as well today. We gained something today, and that's because we were persistent in our approach. We understand that these things happen, and we didn't assign a level of difficulty when we try things and do things. So this would gives us the leverage to say, you know what, hey, although I missed the target, there's something else that can come from it, and this is what we're doing now. So today was another example of, hey, although we had some tech issues, we still came back to the drawing board and said, you know what, how about we have a different approach? We sat down, we planned, we organized, and we said, yo, let's look at this from a different standpoint. So now what we had to do is we had to pivot. We had to make a change. We had to shift. In the midst of us doing that, we came up with a solution to some of the problems. And I think these are the things that allow us to move forward, although we may not have all of the answers. But in the midst of the turmoil, in the midst of all of the grounds of failure, there's growth, there's truth that can come from that. So I want all of us to be familiar with, hey, although things are they aren't going according to plan, there are certain things that will work in our favor if we are persistent in our approach. Lizzie, talk to me.
So you have King Dot. I'm not saying that last name.
That's my brother Prince right there. Let's
Oh,
go.
all right. So Prince said, "All love, Reed. Have a peaceful day."
That's my brother. Yo, Prince, I got you, loved one. I got me and you, yeah, we build. You already know that. I'm tapping with you right after this. I got you, loved one. You know that. I got you, loved one. Absolutely. It's my brother right there. My brother Prince, man. All praises due, man. That's my brother right there. Man, see, this is what I'm talking about. All of these things happen divinely. These are divine appointments. And I love to expound about these things because every situation you can actually take and look at it from a standpoint of how can I grow from this? How can I grow in it, and how can I grow out of it? And these are the testimonies. These are our experiences. And from our experiences, we be able to gain so much more knowledge about who we are, where we are, and where we are desired to go. In life, there's so many things that's going to happen, and us have to be resilient. We have to go through the fire at times in order to make it out and say, you know what? Oh, yes, I didn't come out unscathed. I got some bumps, some bruises, but that's normal. It happens. That's part of life. And this is where we're talking about today, getting into the topic at hand about dealing with imposter syndrome, dealing with some of the turmoil things, some of the internal things, learning how to transition, learning how to pivot. How do you wear off the imposter, right? The imposter syndrome, when we feel like we're not qualified, when we feel like, okay, I don't have the mind, I haven't put the work in as of yet, or I haven't became the person as of right now. What do you do in the midst of it? This is the moments where we start to define that, and we have to start building that person up and say, we're gonna defeat the imposter guy, the imposter lady, the imposter baby, the imposter deity, whoever that you think that's showing up in your life, and it's conflicting of who we think or who we know to be. And I think if there's contradictory things that oppose of who we innately feel with inside and knowing the truth and in our true self, internal self, when that personnel, imposter syndrome kicks in, we know how to defeat that. Lizzie, talk to me.
So he said, "We totally got to get together one day. Continue flourishing, brother. Wellness only, always. Shout out to the young lady. The name is an understatement of who I am."
Absolutely, that's my brother.
I just learned, me being Spanish,
Mm-hmm.
like there's certain things that it's not okay to say.
Mm-hmm.
And whether it's in a playful mode or anything like that, I was taught about it and taught about the word. And now I have a lot of respect for that. So I don't go freely saying it now.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Beautiful thing. See, this is where we start to learn about who we are and where we are and where we stand at in this universe, right? There's always beauty. right? There's always um adapting the philosophy of having an optimistic perspective and mindset. See, when we look at these things from the higher up, right, we say, okay, the cup is half full versus empty. There's so much more knowledge that we be able to gain and acquire because we're not closed off to be open-minded to things that can be, uncomfortable. Sometimes these topics, these situations has to get challenged or has to be spoke about. So there's things that may cause a lot of people discomfort when they talking about certain words that a culture of people may use or disuse. It may have some discourse when it comes to an idea that one group of individual, one personnel may have versus the belief system of another personnel, left wing, right wing. I'm a person that's pro this or pro that, or I look for my people to be pro this or pro that, or we from this tribe. So birds of a feather flock together, or people like us do things like this. This is where we be able to have this level of discourse and be able to come to some level of truth. Because ideally, it's not about being right or wrong. It's about exploring our ideas. And then now, when we're able to freely um, do these things in a healthy manner, we be able to gain so much more insight and respect for other people and their choices of what they do. See, a lot of times we take ourselves out of other people's shoes and we say, I would never do that. But if you were in their shoes, you would do exactly what they are doing because you adapt their philosophy and their ideas about how they do their thing. I learned that from Alex Hormozy. Alex Hormozy said, a lot of times we critique people on what they should do and what they shouldn't do. But 9 times out of 10, if you were in their shoes, that means that you adapted their philosophy and you see the world the way they see it. And ideally, they're making choices that make sense to them. So we have to respect that. We may not agree. We can agree to disagree, or we may agree, but ideally, still the choice of that personnel. So in order for us to even have a voice, right? The only thing that you can do is show up the best version of yourself. So when you do that, right? You leave an example. You leave something else out there to take on. You leave something else out there for someone else to take on and to be able to examine. That's another piece of data that's left out there for somebody else to gain and acquire to critique. And they can wait, they can say, okay, I like that, I don't like that. Or this makes sense or that doesn't make sense. Although this right here doesn't make sense, I'm willing to seek it out and see how it applies in my life or it doesn't. And that's the beauty of us showing up the best version of ourselves. Because if we do that, people will be able to get the best knowledge that they can get by you being the best version of yourself. Because if you come with the not saying that we excluding flaw, what I'm just simply saying is that if you are doing your best, no matter where you fall within the spectrum, right? If you fall at the bottom of the totem pole from somebody else's perspective, that's their own idea and their own perspective. Ideally, it's about how you operate within the world and the confines that you learn to operate within. Today, if you're doing what you're doing today, then tomorrow it serves a better you if you're doing the best that you can today. And that's all you can ask for out of your life. If you're striving, you're doing things to push yourself beyond those limits, because you're going to learn and discover things about you that most people may not know. See, a lot of times we harp on some of the things that we say, right? Because we living in a world to where we have social media. So most people show up on social media and they want to be some level of influence or socialite, whatever your reasons of showing up on social media. Ideally, we want people to look at us in a particular light, and that's okay, right? But ideally, you can show up at this person. Okay, this is where we get, the imposter syndrome thing kicks in. We may show up as a particular person, but internally, there's a different version of you that will supersede that version of you that's on the internet, right? I heard this from Fabulous. Fabulous said that most people see the highlight reel of people's lives, so you don't really get to see when people are really like mostly down and out, or how how their days are going. You get to only see the highlight reel. Me and my cousin Black were talking about that too as well. You see people highlight reel. So you see when people are just doing well, but it's the times where you see people are doing well, and then you see people are just going through life, and they dealing with some of the similar situations that you may undergo, such as dealing with family, dealing with health, you dealing with conflicting ideas, you're dealing with, some level of doubt, you fear, FOMO, fear of missing out. You may feel like I need to be in the in crowd or being isolated, or I'm not part of the cool table per se, or whatever it may be. We all share these same sentiments, but openly being able to talk about them and share our ideas around them gives us the leverage, because most of the time it's not about having the yes person around you say yeah, 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 yeah. It's mainly the people that love you enough to tell you the truth. Like Gary Vee said, he said when you get around people that love you enough to tell you the truth, they be able to poke fun or be able to poke at certain things surrounding us that we may not be able to see, those blind spots. We all have blind spots. Sometimes we are seeing things from one perspective, but you have somebody across the room from you looking at it at a different angle. They may see something that's in back of you that you don't see, because I'm looking straight forward. So sometimes I can't see what's going on behind me. I can't see what's going on behind me, but somebody at the opposite room that has my back and love me enough to tell me the truth, they can show certain blind spots that may show up. And I think these are the areas where we can learn how to better assess. We can get in spaces, we can get in rooms, we can get in environments to where we got trusted advisors. My brother Floody said that. My brother Floody said that when he does his real estate deals and his ventures, sometimes people call him, which is non-related real estate issues, and he's willing to pick up that telephone and expound on some of the knowledge that he has, and also point that personnel in the right direction with a qualified resource, with somebody else that's qualified to tell them or show them the ropes about a particular thing, because he may not be that expert in that field, but since he's a qualified person, a trusted advisor, and knowing that when people contact him, he's going to do his best to show up for other people because he loved them enough. That's what you start to understand, that man, there's an ecosystem out here of great people that do great work. And you can be part of that. You can be one personnel, one resource that when people call and contact you, they know that, okay, you show up, okay, that person, he or she right there, they're going to get some sound advice, even if they don't know. And I think that's where the beauty comes in at from us learning and growing. Because our mistakes are breeding grounds for us to get perfection. So I look at us as already being perfect. But the way we get the perfection is actually going through the flaw, being able to have those areas where we're not our best selves. But then you have people around you that can point out certain things because they love you enough to tell you the truth. But then at that point, once we get the information, not saying that we take their word as holier than thou, the thing is that they may just be able to plant a seed within us to say, you know what, man, I haven't looked at it from that angle or from that perspective. And now you can go back to the drawing board and say, let me do a self audit. Let me look myself in the mirror. Let me apply some of this knowledge that I'm seeing or hearing from the people that say they quote unquote love me. And then now I can go back to the drawing board and test these theories, test these ideas. If you see certain examples working for other people in their lives, they're doing something to make it work. Although it may not be your course of action, it may not be your calling to do that particular thing. But if we close ourselves off and being pessimistic person and we have those doors closed, we will never open them up for the possibilities. B. Simone said, if you put it on the table, it's an option. Most people don't put things on their table, so it's never an option. So how you know what you want to eat if you don't give yourself the options on what to eat? If you say, I only want one particular thing, that's cool. So you only will have one option. Leave yourself open because it allows room for growth. And these are the things that we're talking about how do we shape and how we transition, how do we pivot, how do we get from up under some of this limiting belief system, right? How can I overcome that imposter syndrome? How can I get more familiar with who I am in order to allow me to be the best version of myself, to actually go out there and be accomplishable? Go out there and say, you know what, I was a globe trekker, but now I set my globe as me trekking the world. Now I'm a goal trekker. I set my goals with the right frequency. I got the right coordinates. Now I got the right steps. Even though I'm stepping and I haven't got fully aligned as of yet, me walking and starting the journey, I could course correct. I could course correct. So it's not about just being right and making every right decision. You build that up over time. You build that level of prudence over time. You start making, first being able to make a decision, have an agency. Just being able to simply make a decision gives you strength and power. Most people look for the assistance of other people. And a lot of times people only going to tell you what they know. And depending on where their information come from, depending on where their downloads come from, depending on what environment they grew up in, depending on whoever planted what seeds in their mind, you don't know what's behind some of their ideas and their beliefs. You don't know where it comes from. So not saying that we don't take people word. I'm saying that you have to do further research for oneself to know what's qualified information, was not. Look at the source. Do these people fact check? Do they cross reference? How are they constructing the ideas? What ideas? What seeds are planted within them in order to come up with some of these ideas? And I think the source is very, very important. The source is very, very important. And you got to make sure that the people are open and honest just in their approach. So once you start to be open and honest about your truths and being able to expound on them and being able to detail or being able just to confront them, right? Confront that oneself in the mirror and say, you know what? Hey, I know I don't got it all figured out, but I'm willing to try to figure out the next steps. So that means sometimes I have to be vulnerable in that position. Sometimes when we're dealing with a certain level of bravado as a man, sometimes that gets it gets trembling. It gets you start to feel like I can't show no chinks in my armor. So I always got to walk around like, can't nobody mess with me. Can't nobody, if somebody do something, I'm willing to go there. But sometimes that's not the approach. The approach is, well, you know what? Let me be able to receive. Because if I have all of the answers, where's the room for growth? See, I will spend most time defending my wrong. Even if I got the download to course correct and make the thing the right thing, I will spend majority of my time defending the wrong instead of being able to receive and being open to new information. So sometimes we can be stuck in those type of places. We can be stuck in some of those places because we're not allowing ourselves to be able to be vulnerable. It's tough to be vulnerable because I know a lot of people who had to build up this wall in order for protection. So there's certain things that people have gone through in their life to build up certain walls. It may not be the bravado. It may somebody have a conniving way, right? Somebody may be a manipulator. Somebody may be a person that's just conniving schemes. Somebody may be rule with the iron fist. Somebody may use their size, stature, or their mind to take advantage, or just be able to protect. Who knows? But what I'm saying is that everybody has their own thing to overcome and overachieve because it starts with oneself. I don't know what somebody else's trouble and path may look like. I don't know what steps they had to take in order to get them just to this point. We know that life has its ups and its downs. It may have been a battle for a person just to be able to speak from their perspective today because before they were silenced, right? Before you couldn't say what you wanted to say outright because there was consequences for that. Same way we was talking about the Negro spiritual, and we say same way we're talking about weaving a way to freedom. You couldn't openly say, "Hey, go over past those trees, go by the water, go duck down. There's a safe house." They couldn't openly say that, so they use some intellect. They say, "Okay, although we may be in bondage right now, but there's a way we can escape and get to freedom if we be smart enough, if we be able to learn how to communicate, if we trust one another." If we be able to build up a level of confidence within oneself, if we able to self audit, if we able to tell truth, because with somebody being able to trust you, you got to be able to trust oneself first. If you are lying to yourself and then people catch on to the lie, why would they put trust inside of you? Why would somebody trust you if you're known to be a liar? So now you're already closing off windows of opportunity because nobody else is willing to give you that shot. Although there's things may have changed, you see, I'm turning a new leaf. Understand that some of the beds that we made, we got to lay in until we build up a certain level of knowledge and knowing that, hey, from now on, I'm living my life of truth. So I'm not holding on to what somebody said about me in the past. Because as we stated before, everything that's happening in the present, moving forward from that moment as of right now, is considered the past. So right now in this moment, the future is already in manifestation. By what we do in the moment, the future is playing out right now. From what we do in the moment, the future is already part of the creation. Also, what's being done right now kind of rewrites the past because whatever we do from this moment moving forward is considered the past. So when people say, "Hey, I always done this thing in my life," people like us always did things like this, or I grew up in this environment and over here, this is what we done. What you do is you change environments, you change perspectives, you change your perspective in that moment. And then that right there will allow you to move forward. But we always will be confined and stay in a place of bondage if we don't allow ourselves to be vulnerable and say, you know what, I give myself permission to move forward. Because a lot of times we don't give ourselves that permission. A lot of times we keep telling people, hey, you know what? Now I got to hold on to these morals and these belief systems because it got me to this point. What got you here won't get you there, though. Let me say that one more time. What got you right here won't get you there, because it takes another level of training, another skill set, another way to think, another way of another perspective. See, most people that are say wealth, right? People that acquire wealth. The reason why I'm not a millionaire at the very moment is because I haven't acquired the knowledge of what it is to be a millionaire. There's $1 million, have a whatever dollar amount that I'm away. Say I'm 200, say I'm $800,000 away from $1 million. There's $800,000 worth of information out there that I haven't acquired yet. Financial literacy, something that I'm missing. Hey, if you haven't passed that test and you're in school, right? And you've been failing. Well, the other side of that coin of you getting that passing grade is there's a level of studying that you haven't acquired yet. See, every day is a playing ground for learning and growing. Every day is a study. Every day is a test. Not nobody else testing you, is you testing you. You testing oneself. What are you challenging yourself on? Laura Boyd said that in order for the brain to grow, because the brain is a muscle, in order for the brain to grow, we got to do challenging things daily. That's where growth coming at. It's a combination of doing challenging things. It's a combination of the health, what we drink, what we eat, what we consume in our minds, how we think, the conversations that we hold, the conversations that we hold. See, if you spread negativity all day, what you think is going to beat you home? Negativity. If you spread positivity every day, what you think 9 times out of 10 is going to meet you at your front door? Positivity, the power of the tongue. What you speak comes to fruition. It's about the power of the tongue. What you speak comes to fruition. See, most people don't understand the power of words. I've talked about this the other day as well. We talk about the Black's Law dictionary, right? There's a certain language when you go into the judicial system that they use, which is Black law, right? The Black law. There's certain ways that they communicate within that system that majority of, if you're not into law, you don't understand those type of things. Most people just don't understand the power of the tongue. And what I'm saying is that there's considered to be dead language and alive language. And Black's Law Dictionary is pretty much using alive language, like a language of empowering. So when we continuously using language every day, that's almost like, an alive language, because we got to be very conscientious on how they put these terminologies in on these platforms, because you say certain words like that, they're they do a lot of things to kill. See, they do a lot of things to minimize the reach, right? And they try to diminish the algorithm so it doesn't reach where it needs to reach. But what I'm simply saying is that understanding how we use our words, the words that we use are powerful, using empowering language. These things count in our day in, day out lives, because it shapes our perspective. So if our perspective is constantly getting influenced by a particular thing, the way we speak, right? The way we download certain things and how we talk, then I think at that point we have to really, really put a lot of emphasis on how we speak to one another. What we speak like when we by ourselves, what type of thoughts are we downloading, what things are we watching and consuming, the things that we eating, the things that we are watching. All of these things are shaping and molding who we are as of today. What I learned to do, I used to tell myself that maybe I wasn't as good enough. I used to tell myself that at times. I didn't tell people openly. I told these things to oneself. And then my life kind of turned out in certain manners at certain particular times in my life. It showed up in that manner where I wasn't qualified because I already downloaded that thought and that perspective. So what I learned to do, okay, let me cut that thought. Talk to me, Lizzie. Okay. Okay. So as of right now, I think it's appropriate that we have a quick break. Let's go to it really quick. I love you guys. Shout out to everybody that's in Instagram, YouTube, StreamYard, Facebook, TikTok. All of these platforms, do us a great favor. Thumb up the video, like the video, share the video. These things help boost up the algorithm, help getting people more in tune to what we are doing. We are on our 60th episode. Thank you guys for getting us along the way. It couldn't have been done without you guys, because the support is was actually propel the platform. You're showing up, your discipline in that manner, your dedication, your willingness to go out there and say, let me stretch and support people of us doing things like this. It shows up that we're building that ecosystem. So I want to continuously give credence to the like-mindedness of our people, because I know that we could be doing a lot of other things that can promote more negativity, and we are actually finding more ways to connect and build. And I think that right there alone in itself is powerful. We let the transformation reflect, right? We make sure that the work is getting done in real time, just how we show up in the fashion that we show up, and making sure that we just do our due diligence in that manner. So we thank you guys continuously, and I want to shoot over really quick to a quick commercial, and we'll be right back. Peace, beloveds. Thank you for tuning in to the Respectfully Great podcast. I'm your host, Johnny Reed, and I appreciate your continuous support. Do you know that over 80% of the people that watch our channel aren't subscribed? By subscribing to our channel, you give us the opportunity to bring on more guests to add more value to our channel. To join our growing community, head over to respectfullygreat.com, sign up for our email list to get exclusive updates on empowering blogs, as well as the latest and greatest in Respectfully Great fashion. Once again, it's nothing but big love, and we value your commitment. Yes, that's the word from the sponsors. Shout out to Respectfully Great guys over there, man. They do their thing. They have some new merchandise coming out very soon. A new drop. We will be uploading it to our website, and you can actually hit us on any other media platform, DM, message, wherever else that you can download or contact us on. Do such. Let us know how you feel. Also, leave your comments, share, do those things, because we constantly reiterate those things, because we want to get accustomed to sharing our thoughts and our perspectives, because we all can gain some groundbreaking knowledge from each other, and we can actually have and build up this ecosystem of thought-provoking individuals. And I think it's great that we are doing such. Shout out to my brother Hansel in the building. My sister Quay is in the building. Mr. Everywhere 89, sub love one, is in the building. Yes, man, we turned up. We are gracious, and we thank everybody that's showing up in real time. Didn't even do the fit check, which is cool, right? You see how much I'm like you joint today. Respectfully Great emblem. That's what we doing. Still got the good watch game. Right there is a good Seiko, Fiolini. But let's get into some of our footnotes, right? I'm gonna kick it off like this really quick. Most people think fear of failure is the problem. It's not. The real issue is this: you're trying to step into a new life with an old identity still attached. That creates friction. That creates doubt. That creates the imposter syndrome. We're talking about that. You don't rise, you reintroduce yourself. Growth isn't about becoming something new overnight. It's about reintroducing yourself to yourself at a higher level. We talked about levels, right? Talked about levels. Every new phase requires a particular set of things: a new standard, a new level of belief, a new internal language. We talked about language. We talked about internal belief systems, your downloads, standards. You can't take what you know as a the you now is not going to the you now isn't the you in the future. So what got you here may not get you there. So there's a new set of skill sets, new things that we have to acquire, a new level a new level of discipline, a new wherewithal, a new willingness to go out there and try and getting unfamiliar territory, as well as being vulnerable during the process, is going to allow us to propel to those next levels. That's what we're talking about. Your internal identity doesn't match your external ambition. You sabotage your own elevation. You sabotage your own elevation. See, your external ambition doesn't align with the internal identity, who you are at heart and core. The external things may not align. This is where we have to get them coordinates right. This is where we have to shift and align and be able to accept new self, but also challenge that one self in the mirror to say, who am I? I'm not dealing with imposter syndrome, who I know to be. Where do I want to be at? How I want to get there? What does it look like when I do get there? What level of impact do I want to have? Who I want to serve? What things do I want to acquire in my life in order to help other people? How can I be fulfilled? How can I fulfill purpose? These are the questions. We talked about writing down the questions. Sometimes the best qualified questions that you come up with is going to give you the best solutions to your problems. We all are facing them daily. We all are going through things in our lives that's going to require some level of thought. Just because we have certain levels of experiences, that doesn't mean that it's all the way true in the grand scheme of things. It's your truth. So we can't deny the truth, but it may not be the right thing if you're taught to be a conniving schemer. Although that is your truth, that's not the ultimate truth. Righteousness is truth. So you doing anything other than righteousness, you're disobeying the law. You disobeying the universal law. Once you disobey the universal law, anything other than that doesn't work. It gets you by temporarily. In the grand scheme of things, it doesn't serve you. Fear of failure is actually fear of exposure. One more time. Fear of failure is actually fear of exposure. Let's unpack that a little bit. People aren't afraid to fail. They're afraid of being seen failing. One more time. People aren't afraid to fail. Most people are afraid of being seen while they fail. How many times have you bumped your knee, fell down in a sporting event or doing a particular thing? You're looking around to see who saw. How many times did you walk into the glass mirror of a door and you're looking around and say, who saw that? Most time people are fearful of what other people may think. Most people are fearful of what other people think. You know where that comes from? Lack of an identity, lack of knowing oneself, building up that trust factor within oneself. See, most people are slaves to the ideas of other people, what other people think you ought to be, right? People constantly telling you what you should think, what you should eat, how you should look, what you should smell like, who you should like, where you should work at, who you should be friends with, what job ventures you need to explore, what business partners you should link up with. Everybody has an idea about your life. This is why you get spam mail continuously. Everybody wants your attention. Everybody wants you to fall to the helms of their ideas and their belief system. But if you start going in every direction of everybody else, where does that leave you? It leaves no room for you. That's the thing. If you are following everybody else and not exploring the internal you, we just expose to different parts of other people other than oneself. And this is where things get very, very conflicting. So what does that mean? That means that we got to build up levels of trust and understanding and knowing who we are. How do you get to that point? Take a time out for you. Man, powerful thing. I was building with my pops today. My pops called me, right? And me and my pops was building, we were talking. And something along those lines that came up about knowing oneself. And these conversations that we have real time on the pod, I think about moments that happened or transpired during the course of my life of where things are prevalent, things make sense because it gets cross-referenced, it gets brought back up, and then we be able to analyze it from different perspectives at different moments. And this is where you start to define and understand where truth lies at. We were talking about how important it is to have an identity today, a few hours ago. Didn't know that this topic would come right here, right now. But the beauty of it did, because it was important, it was purposeful. That telephone call was divine appointment. There was something that needed to be said. There was a seed that needed to be planted that actually propelled what's going on in this real time. Last week, it was Lou. It was Lou on the train, right? Johnny, turn up the music. That's what Lou told me. Today was a download for my pops. Identity. Things happen like that continuously. There are signs showing up in your life to make sure that you are constantly aligned in purpose. See, there wasn't negative downloads that I received from those individuals. It wasn't negative. Positivity, understanding and knowing oneself, reassurance. How do we get familiar? How do we fight imposter syndrome? Knowing who we are, knowing who we are, knowing who we are, identity. Lou, hey, John, you like hip hop? Hey, I like techno rock. Hey, John, turn the music up. There was no music. I didn't have a radio. I didn't have a radio. But the thought, mentally, he put us there in a space to where we can download that music, listen to that, whatever brings us peace and harmony. What brings out the best part of ourselves to where it brings out fulfillment. That's what it sounded like when Lou said, Johnny, turn up the music. Oh, to me, it sounded like turn up purpose. Get more familiar with you. Love oneself. Get connected. I connected. He planted the seed to make me realign and connect because he was connected. He fulfilled his obligation and his purpose. He planted the seed within me. That was a divine appointment. Same thing today. All of these things had different placements in my life at various times. The telephone calls that we receive, the conversations that we have with the random person in the street, when we see that pet or that animal, whatever it may be, all of these things have a divine connection to you because they don't show up in your life for no reason. We can choose to take these things as negative connotations, or we can receive them as positive downloads. It's about what we make it. Sometimes people talk about karmatic energy, you do unto others what you done one to self, right? Or the energy that you put out, you receive. But literally, that's discretionary. That's up to the person to their own discretion whether things are positive or negative. So does karmatic energy exist? You know, people have their own perspectives. Just opposing this, throwing it out there. Some people should say that you push out good energy and good energy come back. Some people said that whatever you define as good energy or bad energy, it just is. So when you say something is karmatic, is it, or is it just perspective? Or is it just what you make it? People talked about people colonizing other people. Some other people felt like it was a divine thing. They were serving their higher power, God or whoever, or the entity or the creator, when they're going out there and they strap themselves up. They say, I'm going out there and to commit, harm or inflict pain on another personnel in the name of serving a premise or a purpose. So at what point is that person or personnel right or wrong? Perspective. Perspective shapes and molds that. So what I'm simply saying is that you have choice every day to receive these pieces of information and make the best do with them based on your own perspective. How do you think? Are you utilizing your conversations, your whereabouts, the things you do? Are you using them for positivity to move forward and have a positive impact in the name of, on the purpose of, who knows? Discretionary. Up to you. Every day we have opportunity. The window is always open if we choose it to be, but we close that window off when we're unwilling to learn, when we're unwilling to receive new information. If we say that I know it all, I got it all, you spend most of the time defending what you already know. You would defend what you already know instead of receiving new information and new downloads. So the window of opportunity may pass you, or you won't even have the opportunity to receive such. You don't want to define that. This is why we always got to. That's why we always got to put onus on oneself. A lot of times we keep being taught to look outside of self. So when you constantly looking outside yourself for the answers, this is where everybody else is grabbing your attention from. what the homeboy over there doing, what the homegirl over there doing, with Zeus Network doing, with this such and such platform is doing, what that person is doing, what that person doing, what Instagram is doing, what that platform is doing, what we caught up in everybody else's world that they're living in. But they always talking about we in a simulation, a firmament. They saying that we are in a simulation or a firmament, meaning that we are inside, encapsulated inside of a bubble of the world that we think um exists. And literally, your thoughts shape your reality. That's the truth. Your thoughts shape your reality. And this is where we have to start understanding, okay, well, what work am I going to put out there? What ideas am I going to put out there to shape my reality for the better? Because we all know that there's another side to that. There's two sides to everything, yin yang, two slices of a bread, two slices of a coin. So it always can be this or that. Karmatic energy. You push out whatever you want to receive. Or is it just perspective? Is it just, okay, how do I receive this download from a positive perspective or a negative? I love to challenge oneself even when I have trouble in times. I try to find the points in it that could bring out positivity. So even today, same situation we've been experiencing for over a month. We may experience another 2-3 months. Who knows? It's not going to stop the progression. It's saying, okay, well, where's the silver lining within this happening? Linda Lynn, what's up, sis? Linda's in the building. What's up, sis? Where's the silver lining at? Lauren, what's up, Lauren? Lauren in the building. What's up, loved one? Where's the silver lining at? How do I choose to attach myself to things that I feel like is going to propel me to the next level of being more on a path of righteousness and being able to fulfill purpose and be able to create things around me that will propel more positivity, more change, more acts of servitude? How can I get to those next levels if I don't identify with oneself as being such? It comes about your identity, who you believe you are, who you know you are. We talked about the internal things. Most people look outside of oneself. And if you keep constantly shaping your ideas and your belief system on things outside of you, how do you ever get more familiar with who you are? How do you get more familiar with who you are if you're not getting comfortable with that person? We can build that up. You build that up by spending time with yourself, knowing your ticks, knowing your likes, knowing your dislikes, doing self audits, looking yourself in the mirror. This is where you start to have moments of discovery. We talked about coordinates and being able to find and align oneself on the path of figuring out what am I going to do in my life, in my world, how I'm going to shape and mold this for the best outcome in the near future. It's literally going through those steps of figuring out, okay, who am I? Ask yourself the question. So the more questions that we ask, the more qualified questions, the better the better results we get, and the better I would say what rubric, the better the we have more of an outline to follow, or template in order to follow, to say, you know, for my moments of discovery, this is where I'm at in my life, and this is how we're navigating. This is how we get to and from. Starting here, even though this is the end of the earth or the center, the end of the earth, I'll be able to make this the center, like Mos Def said. Powerful tools. We can utilize them. Let's move further along. We almost there, loved ones. 60th episode, man. I know you guys are still with us, man. I love you guys unconditionally. Appreciate everything that you guys are doing, because you guys, constantly reiterate, you guys make it, right? You make this platform what it is because you guys are always showing up in a manner and having insightful things and thoughts and perspectives that allow us to constantly come up against truth and say, you know what? Hey, let's carry this dialogue. Let's figure out ways in order to be better. And so, you know, let's challenge ourselves. Hey, you know what? I may not have all of the answers. That's okay. That's okay. Like I said, we have some stumbles that we have gone through, and it's not going to stop. We're going to be introduced with another level of difficulty, but that will cause us to be a better version of ourselves in order to uprise and conquer that thing that's trying to defeat us. So when things happen in your life, you got to become another person in order to, you know, fight that next fight. Sometimes you got to become the person. Sometimes you may be defeated at the moment because you haven't matured to the next level in order to take on some of those other tall tasks. So master what you already have. Get good at the things that's utilize the tools that you already have around you in order to go out there and fight those other battles. Because we got the tools and the resources around us. Sometimes we neglect them because we say, okay, I want more, I need more, but we haven't, mastered the first step. And that's where it comes to understanding, okay, before we go out there and acquire the $1 million, the $3 million, the fleet of whatever it may be, the wealth, the woman, the finances, the men, the car, the house, before we be able to get those things, how do you manage your life at this very moment? Do you have control of that over that? Do you have control over your life at the very moment of the things that you can control, right? Because there's things that's always happening around us that we don't have control over. But the things that you do have and the things that you do possess and the things that's going on in your life that you can control, are you doing your best to make sure that those things are manageable? Who knows? Knowing your value versus performing for validation. Market value. What people pay you. We're not just talking about money. Maybe attention. What do people pay you? It could be money. It could be attention. It could be a plethora of things. Sometimes people pay you no mind, right? Everything ain't for everybody. So that you gotta get comfortable with that. I used to be one of those personnel. I was very, very conscientious about what other people thought, people pleaser. So I went down a rabbit hole of being a people pleaser, always worried about what other people said and thought about me. And although I would love to be not favorable, just say respected in other people's worlds and in their world. If I show up in their world, if one thing they can say about me is that I'm honorable and respectable, right? I'm somebody that has a level of esteem, high esteem, respect oneself, respect others. So I want to be deemed in that type of light. But that's certain values for oneself. Other people may not care to have that level of of how you say it. Some people may not care to show up in that manner, or people may not care about the things that you care about or hold near and dear to your heart. And you got to be able to accept that. When you want everybody to have inclusion, sometimes it's not like that because everything ain't for everybody. And that's one thing that I had to learn. No matter how many people I went out there and tried to people please, I couldn't satisfy everybody. So what I did was I said, you know what? How about I satisfy oneself first? And then me being the best that I can be. And then people that can learn, grow, attach themselves to, take something from in a positive manner or even from a negative manner and be able to turn that to a positive. I done my job. I fulfilled my purpose. So sometimes you can't control what's out there. You can only control what's within. That's where the strength is at. Intrinsic value. That's what we're talking about. Would you know your worth regardless of opinions? Simply, that's what we're talking about. If you rely only on external validation, your confidence will fluctuate. Your identity will be unstable. This is something to anchor us down, right? Real power is when your self-worth is not up for negotiation. Oh, I love that one. Love that. Real power is when your self-worth is not up for negotiation. Real power is when your self-worth is not up for negotiation. Real power is when your self-worth is not up for negotiation. Mm, I love that right there. Absolutely. That's powerful. Let's come right here with some skill sets, right? We talked about skill sets earlier. Skill sets are the bridge between vision and reality. Yep. That's the bridge. Skill sets. That's the bridge between your vision and what's happening right now, which is reality. Purpose without skill is frustration. So if you don't acquire this skill, right, and you're in purpose, but you haven't acquired the skill yet, it builds up levels of frustration. So having purpose without acquiring the skill, becoming the person, being able to do the thing, it builds up level of frustration. We have to be patient in these moments. We have to become the person. We have to align ourselves with purpose. Put those coordinates out there. Ask those questions. Be resourceful. Utilize the tools that you already have. Develop the skill. Develop the skill. And then that from that point, you're able to take another step, go to another level. That's where the strength is at. That's where the power is at. I love that. Vision without execution is delusion. Vision without execution is delusion, being delusional. Being an actionary person is what you have to be. You have to take action. Most people talk about what they're going to do. No, I was talking to my aunt Noma the other day. Actually, this was well, she stated this statement um maybe about a month ago. But she said there are people that uh think about what they're going to do. They just in their mind, in their head all day, just thinking. Then there's other people that speak about what they're going to do. Talk about what they're going to do. And then there's those who are actionary, who actually do what they say that they're going to do. One of those that's a powerful gem that she had left um embedded with me. There's people that's just in their own mind, in their own heads, thinking about it all day. They don't speak about it, they don't take no action, they're just thinking about it. Then there's other people that they just speak about it. Speak. But then there's other people that just take action. The doers. Powerful. And what's up, love? My brother Anders in the building. Which one are you? Are you just the thinker? Are you the speaker? Or are you the actionary person? Whatever one that you are, right? We want to get to the actionary person. I think it's a combination of all three, depending on what level you think of it. Because, like I said, I try to internalize these things from all positives. You have to think first, right? Ideation stage. Think about it. Then the next step is about you got to speak it into existence. And then the third step is being actionary. So ideally, I think that all three are necessary. All three are necessary. You don't want to just take action all day, right? And don't put some level of thought into what you're doing. You don't just want to speak about it and then actually haven't thought about what you said. How many times have you had conversations and a person should say something totally different than what you asked them a question about? You ask, hey, which door do you go? Do you go to the left or you go to the right? The person says, yeah, Bob was playing basketball last night. Wait, hold up. What are you talking about? I asked you what door. Is it the left door or is it the right door that you got to go in? And you talking about Bob last night, right? The person heard what they want to hear in their own mind. They wasn't really listening. So they just spoke about something that they really have no clue on what they're talking about pertaining to the conversation. So, like I was saying, is that I think it's a combination of all three. Ideation stage, thinking about what you want to say. The next phase is speaking about what you want to say with conviction, being fully fledged and convinced about what you're saying. And then the third step is saying, I'm going to do the thing. Actionary, powerful. What happens when you show up and do all three? You think, speak, and do. Then things come to fruition. Then reality sets in. Then manifestation sets in. Then the unthinkable happens, like the kid with the marbles. Then the unthinkable happens. They thought it, they seen it, spoke about it. Poof, happens. If you want higher outcomes, right? You need higher systems, sharper skills, better discipline. What skills do almost hit the mic? What skills does your next level require? What skills does your next level require? What skills do you need to acquire? What skill sets do you need to acquire to get to that next level? For me, I share one: preparedness, preparation. The OG told me when I was in the Who Scout, proper preparation prevents poor performance, being better prepared. Preparation, not doing things on a whim scale, not being last minute. How about being prompt, being astute, being somebody that's at attention and not waiting to the last minute to do a thing. Preparedness. if there's one thing that I can do in order to get me to that next level, it's how I prepare. Because I know being able to show up and do the work, that's easy for me. Once I get there, I can do the job. I'm qualified. I qualify oneself. I know what I'm willing to put out, right? But the preparation stages, how well am I prepared in order to reach those next levels? Because I can't go in there and just freestyle for the next levels. I can't go in there and just say, let me just go in there and do anything. It doesn't work like that. Not for the next level. You got to be prepared. That's for me. What levels what skill sets do you need to acquire? Right? Talking about you, right? What levels of skill sets do you need to, what skill sets do you need to acquire in order to level up the things that you have going on in your life or where you ideally see yourself being? Questions, qualified question. That's a great question. What habits support those skills? What are some of the things that you have to do routinely in order to make that a feasible thing? To make that an accomplishable thing? What habits do you have to develop? Make your bed every day. Powerful book, right? How to make your bed. Powerful book. It teaches you um, the power of habits, the routine things, the things you do daily. This is how you start building up to be that next qualified person. This is how you build up that skill set in order to be able to reach those new heights and being a better version of yourself. Powerful. What environment reinforces those habits? What do you have to be at? What places or environments would push you to actually do those things, to show up like such? Getting in unfamiliar territory or being in territories that's going to push you to the next level, the next heights. What environment do you need to get in order to bring out the best of you, right? Let's talk about transitioning really quick. I have an acronym for transition. We're going to read the acronym off really quick, and then we're going to get up out of here. I love you guys continuously. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, thumb up the video, thumb up the video, thumb up the video. All right. Shout out everybody that came through today and all of the people that would come in contact with this podcast episode in due time. Love you guys unconditionally. Transition, right? In order to transition, we have the acronym for transition. T, tell the truth about where you are. That's what T is. Tell the truth about where you are. R, release outdated versions of yourself. Release outdated versions of yourself. We need new downloads. A, align your habits with your future. Where you want to be at. What routines? How do you make your bed every day? Similar. What routines, what habits are you doing daily that's going to put yourself where you want to be at in the near future? N, normalize discomfort. Laura Boyd said doing difficult tasks, getting uncomfortable, going to unfamiliar territory. Normalize discomfort. S, strengthen your internal dialogue, the stories that you tell yourself internally. Strengthen that. Strengthen the internal dialogue. How do you speak to oneself? What words are you using? Are you using empowering language like the Black's Law Dictionary? Are you using empowering language? Powerful. I, invest in a skill development. Invest in skill development. Invest in skill development. What price are you putting on your skill sets to learn or acquire to do a thing? What is the price that you're willing to pay to become the person? That's what we're simply asking you. What price are you willing to pay to become the person that you say you want to become? Is it a dollar amount? Is it your discipline? Is it your dedication? Is it your habits? Is it the things that you don't want to do? Questions. T, track your progress. How we know where we're going if we don't know where we've been? Progress, progression. How do we know where we're going if we don't know where we have been? Track the progress. I, ignore external noise. Signal to noise ratio. Steve Jobs said that. The outside people, the things that keep calling your name. Hey, come over here, come over here. those things. Ignore the external noise. Oh, own your value. You own your value. You place the value on oneself. Own it. You're qualified. Own your value. And navigate with purpose. Navigate with purpose. Being intentional. Being intentional. My brother Alex in the building. What's up, loved one? Brother Alex in there balling up the other day. Swish on that, my boy. Yeah. Here, we put that pain in the other day. You heard? Yes, sir. My brother Al's in the building. Yes, sir. We put that pain in the other day, loved ones. Closing perspectives. Got to get on out of here, right? You're not behind. It's just in transition. It's just in transition. And transition is uncomfortable by design. Transition is uncomfortable because you're doing something that's requiring you to do something that you haven't done before. Transitioning causes a level of discomfort. Sometimes people bring on the fear of the unknown. That happens. But in order to get to those next levels, that has to happen. The uncomfortability has to happen in order to reach those new levels and heights. Am I ready? Simple question. Am I ready? Ask yourself, are you ready? Am I willing to become the person this next level requires? Are you willing to become that person? Are you willing to become the person that the next level requires? Are you willing to level up? Are you willing to make the bed? Are you willing to be disciplined? Are you willing to be actionary? Are you willing to have ideas and brainstorm, ideation? Are you willing to speak these things into existence? Are you willing to do those things? We'll see. I think today was a powerful dialogue, great conversation, more or less about perspective, about ideas, more or less getting in tune with who you are. We have to have these moments to where we reflect on, am I an imposter or do I know who I am internally? Where do I place value? Who places value on me? I do. Questions, the power of questions, the type of questions, the qualified questions. Are you putting yourself in unfamiliar territories so growth can transpire and take place? Transitioning, pivoting can happen. Are you putting yourself in positions that can allow growth? That is the question. In episode 60, we unpacked so many levels of thought that could promote a better tomorrow. And we want to utilize this as one of the tools of many that can get us to those next levels of skill sets of becoming that person that can acquire the thing we want on those next levels. You got 500K in your bank account, you want to be a millionaire. There's $500,000 out there for information that you haven't learned yet. If you got $10 in your pocket and you want 11, there's $1 of information out there that you haven't learned yet. What price tag are you putting out there in order to become the person to be able to acquire the thing? What money value are you placing on it? What price of the attention that you give towards it to acquire the thing? What level of discipline are you willing to undergo in order to acquire the thing? What questions are you willing to put out there? The hard ones. Are you asking yourself the hard questions that will propel you to those next levels to acquire the thing? Combination of things that will get us there. Getting familiar with who we are will get us there. But we need all three of thinking about where we want to go, speaking about where we want to go, and actually taking action to get us there. Today has been a powerful episode. Shout out to my moderator. What's up, Lizzie? One more time for Lizzie in the building, man. Big round of applause for Lizzie again, man. Absolutely, Lizzie in the building. Yes, 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 yes. Man, shout out to everybody that came through today. Love you guys unconditionally. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. I gotta plug that in because that's they say you got to do that thing in order to boost up the algorithm. Hit the like button. You like what you heard today, man? Just give a thumbs up. You know, tell somebody else to thumb it up too. Get a friend to thumb it up too, man. We do things as in unison, right? Being synchronized. Everybody do this because we are a tribe of people that do things like this. People like us do things like this, so we support one another. That's what we do, right? That's what we do. That's how we show up. That's what we do. Um, we have a new template coming out. There's going to be another episode in due time. We're still gonna go live, but in the future, remember that we will be dropping episodes every Tuesday. Still going live on Thursdays, but dropping new episodes on our platform on Tuesdays. So we get like double the fun, right? During the course of the week, something very, very early on during the week, and as well as something else that's, hitting it off during the live sessions. Right now, this is gonna be part of our 60th podcast. Thursdays, what we're going to do is we're going to have an open forum to where it's going to be freelance, maybe talking about current events, maybe doing things, whatever topics come up, right? Still going to bring it around and gear it towards growth and development, but it's not going to be, can't say what it's going to be, right? As far as like just podcast format, it's going to be pretty much just like open discussion, right? Not going to have a really like a set template to say, okay, we're following these rules and structure. And that approach is going to be very, very freelance to where we can go in there and we just talk about anything under the sun in order to carry great dialogue around to where we can gain more perspective on the thoughts and the minds of the society we living in, as well as the thoughts and the minds of who we are and how we can intertwine the two or disconnect the two, or being able to extract the most we can from this physical existence that we're experiencing right now, right? Whether it's a divine thing, whether it's a firmament, whatever perspective or assimilation, whatever it is, we want to be able to uh, 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 go through these processes and figuring out, okay, well, where do I stand at in the grand scheme of things? So um, that's that on my note. Lizzie, is there something that you would like to expound on before we get out of here?
Not really. It was a great live. I want to
Mm-hmm.
say thank you for everybody that came through,
Mm-hmm.
and just want to end it with wishing everybody a blessed night. Get home safe. I hope everybody has a good night, and just count your blessings that you were able to see another day.
Absolutely, man. Couldn't say better than that. We are out of here. We see you next week on Thursday, same bad time, 7 p.m. And we love you guys. Respectfully.